What's good, y'all? Let's react to Coin Bureau's videos.
And tell you which one I think is going to come out on top.
So, what exactly is this video? It is called Ethereum versus Cardano. Let's find out. And he goes on a little rhyme scheme here. This man's a poet.
There are some disclaimers that need to be said. First, I can't give you any financial or investment advice. That's because I'm not a financial advisor. I just make educational crypto content that's nice. Second, I hold both ETH and ADA as part of my cryptocurrency portfolio, and I'm a huge fan of both, in case you didn't already know. If this is your first Coin Bureau bit, my name is Guy, and I think crypto's the shit. Crypto news, reviews, and more. This channel is packed with enough crypto knowledge to make your eyes soar.
Okay,
As
bro.
they say,
Okay,
no
bro.
pain, no gain. So subscribe to the channel
Okay,
and
bro.
ping that notification.
Home of unbiased crypto knowledge. Honestly, I watched a little bit of this video before, and I think it was really good and helpful. As always, well, I say as always, but for me, I like to look at the founders and the team of a project. So, I'm really glad he started off with that.
Versus ETH. Did you know that Cardano and Ethereum have a shared history? Now, although Vitalik Buterin is the chief architect behind Ethereum, Ethereum was technically founded by 5 people, including Vitalik and Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson in December 2013. 3 more people were later credited as co-founders, most notably Dr. Gavin Wood, who happens to be the founder of Polkadot, another smart contract cryptocurrency. Charles is a mathematician who dropped out of his PhD to work in cryptocurrency full-time. Vitalik is a computer scientist who dropped out of his bachelor's program for the same reason. Both chaps are incredibly intelligent, and they met in early 2013 through an online cryptocurrency school called the Bitcoin Education Project, which Charles created. Charles left Ethereum in July 2014 after a disagreement with Vitalik. Specifically, Charles wanted Ethereum to be a for-profit project with backing from venture capitalists, while Vitalik did not. Charles founded a software company called IOHK a few months later, which would go on to create the cryptocurrency blockchain now known as Cardano. Cardano is technically owned by the Cardano Foundation, a Swiss non-profit which commissions IOHK and a Japanese software company called Emergo to develop and maintain the Cardano blockchain. Similarly, Ethereum's development is coordinated by the non-profit Ethereum Foundation, which is also based in Switzerland. By contrast, the Ethereum Foundation frequently gives grants to both companies and individuals who are building valuable apps or infrastructure on Ethereum. No specific entities are commissioned. That said, a lot of Ethereum's infrastructure was built by closely affiliated software companies such as Consensus, which was founded in 2014 by Joseph Lubin, another Ethereum co-founder. Consensus is behind popular Ethereum tools such as the MetaMask browser wallet extension and also funds various crypto media outlets like Decrypt. The biggest difference between Ethereum and Cardano is how they have approached the adoption and development of their ecosystems. Ethereum has historically been more focused on private sector use cases in developed regions like Europe and North America. Over the last few years, Ethereum has started to gain traction in Asia, where Vitalik is referred to as the, quote, V-God. Cardano's approach has been to target the developing world, specifically their governments and public institutions. Rather than push for the direct adoption of Cardano, IOHK and Emergo have been providing various African nations with permissioned infrastructure to prove the utility of Cardano's core technology.
This is probably the most important, in my opinion. The biggest difference and the biggest importance. You can argue that, hey, Cardano's being slow and blah, 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 which they are. I'm not one to argue against that. They are being slow because their customers are different. Their audience is different. While Ethereum is going for the private sector, as well as all the Ethereum competitors, Cardano is going towards developing worlds and selling the system of Cardano to the governments who need them. And in turn, one deal can bring on 5 million people onto the blockchain, which we see with the Ethiopian deal. And that's just the beginning. The reason that they've been so slow is because this is a system that's going to be run on governments, that governments are going to be running their nations on. You don't want to mess that up. Like, you don't want to have something that's rushed and in turn has a huge scaling problem or has a security problem.
The tip of this spear is Atala Prism, a decentralized digital identity solution which Charles argues is essential for the large-scale adoption of technology. The tip of this spear is Atala Prism, a decentralized digital identity solution which Charles argues is essential for the large-scale adoption of a smart contract cryptocurrency blockchain like Cardano. In terms of development, Ethereum has more of a hands-on approach by putting practice before theory. Now this is in stark contrast to Cardano, where every component of its architecture is peer-reviewed and rigorously tested by academics prior to implementation. Ethereum's approach gave it first-mover advantage when it launched in the summer of 2015, and ETH is now the second largest cryptocurrency, and that's because the Ethereum blockchain hosts the largest ecosystem in the crypto space, including thousands of altcoins, stablecoins, dApps, NFTs, and more. Cardano launched in the fall of 2017, and you'd be hard-pressed to list more than a couple of projects building on the Cardano blockchain at the moment. This is because Cardano is barely halfway through its roadmap and has yet to enable the same smart contract functionality that has made Ethereum so successful. Despite this fact, ADA has spent most of its lifetime in the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap, and the Cardano community is one of the largest in cryptocurrency. Ethereum's dominance has been dwindling.
So that is the biggest critique that people use, that Cardano doesn't have smart contracts. It's a vaporware, ghost coin, black ghost chain, blah 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 blah. So the reason, let's take this apart, right? Does Cardano have competitors that are also looking at the developing nation? From my understanding and from my knowledge, no. Most of them are competing with Ethereum, and most of them, from the research that I've done, they don't really have a mission statement of as strong as we want to bank the unbanked. They do have a mission statement, most of them, don't get me wrong. Like, we want to be the internet of blockchain, which is important, and there are use cases for that and customers for that. But what about the people that don't have internet, who can't partake in this entire revolution, this revolution that's happening? Who's going to take care of them, and who's going to bring them on to their blockchain? Cardano.
As of late, and that's because its blockchain is struggling with an exponential growth in users, transactions, and decentralized applications. Ethereum 2.0 seeks to solve these issues, and its rollout happens to coincide quite nicely with Cardano's roadmap. As such, for blockchain architecture, transactions per second, and the other technical aspects of both projects, I will compare Cardano to Ethereum 2.0. Otherwise, it would be an unfair fight, because we already know that Cardano's final form would blow Ethereum out of the water as it exists today.
Yeah.
Cardano and Ethereum 2.0 have two very different engines under the hood. The Cardano blockchain has a dual-layer architecture. The first is the set.
The Cardano has the dual set architecture. Let me write that down, y'all, because that's kind of a big phrase for me.
The Cardano blockchain has a dual-layer architecture. The first is the settlement layer, which keeps a record of all ADA and native asset transactions. The second is the computation layer, which will run Cardano's upcoming smart contracts. Cardano uses a proof-of-stake consensus protocol called Ouroboros that makes it possible to process a few hundred transactions per second. Once the Hydra scaling solution is implemented, though, Cardano could theoretically process a mind-melting 2.5 million transactions per second, with the current amount of validator pools. Now, back to those native assets. Cardano native assets went live on the 1st of March with the Mary hard fork. In contrast to Ethereum's ERC20 tokens, Cardano native assets have the same status as the ADA coin on the Cardano blockchain and do not require smart contracts.
So there is another native asset called Cardano tokens?
In contrast to
if I'm listening properly.
Now, back to those native assets. Cardano native assets went live on the 1st of March with the Mary hard fork. In contrast to Ethereum's ERC20 tokens, Cardano native assets have the same status as the ADA coin on the Cardano blockchain and do not require smart contracts to mint or move around. This will help keep transaction fees low on the Cardano blockchain when the smart contracts go live, and these transaction fees can be paid using native assets thanks to the Babel fees mechanism.
Read this. Suppose now that the stake pool operator is about to produce a block. She recovers the liability transaction from the mempool and issues a matching transaction, consuming the UTXO with the liability. Who's she? Alice? The matching I should probably look at this first. Alice sends a quantity of 9 tokens of type X to Bob with the assistance of Stacy, a stake pool operator who covers Alice's transaction liability and receives tokens of type X in exchange. The implied exchange rate between X and ADA is 3-to-1. The matching transaction provides the missing ADA in addition to the fees that are needed for itself.
These can be paid using native assets thanks to the Babel fees mechanism. Ethereum 2.0 has a shard chain architecture and uses a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism colloquially referred to as Casper. In a sentence, sharding involves splitting the blockchain into multiple portions called shards. The idea is that each shard only stores and processes transactions relevant to the user wallets and decentralized applications on that shard. This allows shards to process transactions in parallel, and the initial 64 shards in Ethereum 2.0 will all connect to the beacon chain. The beacon chain coordinates staking and consensus between all the shards, and this setup will make it possible for Ethereum 2.0 to process around 100,000 transactions per second. While I wasn't able to find any definitive answers about how tokens will work on Ethereum 2.0, I assume they will function in the same way ERC-based tokens do now. As I hinted a few moments ago, minting and moving ERC20 tokens requires creating and interacting with a smart contract, and ETH is used to pay for all the transaction fees associated with this. This can lead to a lot of network congestion, but the trade-off is that the creator of the ERC20 token is completely out of the equation once that token smart contract goes live. Conversely, the creator of a native asset on Cardano seems to have control over the supply and transfers of the assets they mint, which can be a blessing and a curse depending.
Hold on, bro. I gotta rewind that. I was like,
As I hinted a few moments ago, minting and moving ERC20 tokens requires creating and interacting with a smart contract, and ETH is used to pay for all the transaction fees associated with this. This can lead to a lot of network congestion, but the trade-off is that the creator of the ERC20 token is completely out of the equation once that token smart contract goes live. Conversely, the creator of a native asset on Cardano seems to have control over the supply and transfers of the assets they mint, which can be a blessing and a curse depending on the context. This isn't too big of a deal since ERC20 tokens can be brought over to the Cardano blockchain using the ERC20 converter, which is actually the closest thing to a bridge between both blockchains. You can learn more about that by watching this video here.
Okay, so I'm going to need some context here. So when it comes to when it comes to Ethereum, and you mint an NFT, it requires fees, but the person that mints that NFT no longer has anything to do with it and has no control over it. But if on Cardano, if you mint an NFT, then maybe you do have control over it. That's what he's saying, right? I'm not too familiar with actually minting stuff, so I can't really contribute to that.
Right, if you don't see it. When it comes to staking, Cardano and Ethereum 2.0 have an opposite set of terms and conditions. ADA can be staked using Cardano's 2,500 staking pools via the Daedalus and Yoroi wallets. Now, it's worth pointing out that there is no slashing on the Cardano blockchain.
I don't know what that is.
ADA staking rewards are currently about 4.5% per year, and any staked or delegated ADA can be withdrawn at any time, as there's no lockup or unlock period. 73% of all ADA is currently being staked, which works out to a whopping $30 billion at the time of shooting. The interesting thing about Cardano staking is that staking pool rewards diminish as they become saturated. In other words, if too much ADA is staked in a single pool, it will offer no staking rewards. This incentivizes validator nodes to create new staking pools and incentivizes delegators to join new or smaller staking pools. Even though Ethereum 2.0 isn't technically live yet, ETH staking on the Beacon chain began last winter. Similar to Cardano, staking rewards on Ethereum 2.0 vary depending on how much ETH is being staked, and the current annual return is about 7.5%. Just under 4.1 million ETH is currently being staked, worth over $11 billion at the time of shooting. The caveat here is that all this staked ETH might be locked up for a year or more, during which time it could be slashed if the underlying validator goes offline or tries to corrupt the network. Although Cardano is technically the most decentralized cryptocurrency blockchain out there, it is possible that Ethereum 2.0 will claim this title once it goes live. This is because the most recent figure I was able to find suggests that Ethereum 2.0 now has more than 78,000 validators. More importantly, Ethereum's proof-of-stake consensus is designed so that it forces validators with larger stakes to also buy more hardware to process transactions. This adds another dimension of decentralization to Ethereum 2.0, which I don't think any other proof-of-stake blockchain has. Cardano and Ethereum also differ in terms of tokenomics. ADA's initial supply of 31.
Before we get into the tokenomics, bro. Woo-wee! That was a lot to cover, bro. Y'all can't read that. There. So, in the beginning parts of the video, you went over the founders, the Cardano Foundation, which technically owns Cardano and commissions IOHK as well as Emergo to develop and do other sorts of things on Cardano. The Ethereum Foundation owns the Ethereum network and has commissions this company called Consensus as well as other companies who are responsible for MetaMask, the MetaMask wallet, Decrypt, which is a media platform, he said. The biggest difference is their approach. This is extremely important. And a very common critique between Ethereum and Cardano is the way that they're approaching adoption and development. So with Ethereum, we have mostly private sector customers, NFTs, North America, as well as Asia recently. But realistically, they're private sector. So developed worlds, basically. But what about the people that don't have internet and who could benefit greatly from decentralized finance, but there's nobody bringing the technology to them? Well, that's who Cardano is going for. The developing world, governments, institutions, um, extremely important. And the reason, so a huge critique on Cardano is they're moving extremely slow. 4 years have been spent doing nothing, which isn't true. Imagine you're selling technology to an entire government, and whatever happens on that technology, on that system, is going to affect millions upon millions of people. You're going to want to get it right. Ethereum's approach has been, hands-on, experimenting, engineering. Cardano approached it, hey, we're going to write a significant amount of papers and do a rigorous research process. And that could sound like blah, blah, blah to many people. But it's a huge contrast. Especially, not only does it give a nation, like they can look at those research papers and be like, okay, I can have faith and trust that this is something that an entire government can run on. Versus, Ethereum, which are more hands-on and practice, but they don't have the papers to back it up. Now, that being said, there is needs for both Ethereum and Cardano. The reason why I like Cardano specifically is because of their mission to bring the technology over to those who need it. Prism. Hold up. Prism, y'all. Decentralized identity system. Sorry, digital identity system. Meaning, you could literally have a digital, for example, a digital license, a digital birth certificate, and you could have it on this system that is 100% secure and very little ability to compromise it and to hack it. And so a problem that many people face in developing countries is that they're not able to bring their identity. Maybe they want to flee the country and they left behind their identity, their papers. Well, what now? Now they have to go through a huge bureaucratic process just to get their identity back. And so digital IDs are huge, absolutely huge. Now he went over to talk about Cardano versus ETH 2.0. Cardano with a dual layer architecture. What does that mean? Well, it means that it has two layers, right? One, settlement layer, and then two, the computation layer. They both coincide with each other, from my understanding, to help with the fees. And with ETH 2.0, from my understanding, both are proof of stake. Cardano has a proof of stake protocol called Ouroboros, which has 100 of transactions per second versus ETH 1.0 with their 17 transactions per second. Of course, this is Cardano versus ETH 2.0. So, but with Hydra's second layer, theoretically, we could have 2.5 million transactions per second compared to Visa, which has transactions per second, I think, in the 20,000s. So, absolutely huge, theoretically, right? Cardano native assets, they help transaction fees get low. So there's 3 people involved with if you want to send money to Bob. If Alice wants to send money to Bob, then a stake pool operator can help with the fees, and they get a reward in general. And he goes on to talk about Casper, and he goes on to talk about which Casper is the shard chain architecture of ETH 2.0, which is different from Cardano's dual layer architecture. And then he goes to talk about staking rewards of the two, and how both remain decentralized now that we got that shebang in a span of 12 minutes. Sheesh. It's a very informative video, y'all. Like, it's insane.
1.1 billion was pre-mined by IOHK. ADA's initial supply of 31.1 billion was pre-mined by IOHK, and just under 26 billion ADA was sold by the Cardano Foundation across 5 ICOs in 2015 and 2016. Nearly $80 billion worth of BTC was brought in by these sales. The remaining 5.2 billion ADA were allocated to IOHK, Emergo, and the Cardano Foundation. Out of curiosity, I tried finding the wallet addresses belonging to these 3 entities to see how much ADA they have now, and the answer seems to be 0. Some sources suggest that this ADA is being staked, which would make sense given that the Cardano Foundation routinely delegates ADA to smaller staking pools on Cardano. Besides having a remarkably equitable distribution, ADA also has a maximum supply of 45 billion. The inflation mechanism behind the remaining 13 billion ADA is outside the scope of this video, but the key takeaway is that ADA's effective inflation is about 7% per year. All in all, ADA scores an A+ for tokenomics. In 2014, the Ethereum Foundation pre-mined ETH's initial supply of 72 million. 60 million of that ETH was sold in a public ICO later that year for a total of about $18 million worth of.
Alright, hold on. Alright, so from the beginning, Cardano
sold by the Cardano
pre-mined
Fund by Onyx. ADA's initial supply of 31.1 billion was pre-mined by IOHK. And
31 billion pre-mined. Let me write that down.
For a total of about $18 million worth of BTC.
Then Ethereum, that's a different story. Give me a second. So, Cardano pre-mined 31 million. Ethereum pre-mined
ETH's initial supply of 72 million. 60 million of that ETH was sold in a public ICO later that year for a total of about $18 million worth of BTC. The remaining 12 million ETH went to the Ethereum Foundation, which distributed 6 million of that ETH to the 85 developers who were working on Ethereum at the time. Naturally, I was curious about how much ETH Vitalik Buterin has, so I did some digging, and it turns out he has around 333,000 ETH in his wallet, worth around $900 million at the time of shooting. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. As for the Ethereum Foundation, its wallet address is noted as ETHDEV on Etherscan and currently contains over 430,000 ETH worth over 1.1 billion. Don't worry, I'll leave a link to that one in the description too.
Yes.
ETH's distribution is also solid but slightly less equitable than ADA's distribution. ETH has no maximum supply, and its inflation rate is about 4% per year. This is about the same amount of inflation ETH is expected to have in Ethereum 2.0.
Hold on, bro. What did you just say?
About the same amount of inflation, and its inflation rate is about 4% per year. This is about the same amount of inflation ETH is expected to have in Ethereum 2.0. Although it's not clear whether the ETH fee burn introduced by EIP 1559 in the summer will carry over into Ethereum 2.0, if it does, then this could technically turn ETH into a deflationary asset. With EIP 1559, ETH gets an A++ for tokenomics. Now, if you're wondering why all this stuff is so important, be sure to watch the video about tokenomics. Use that handy link.
Alright, so Cardano pre-mined 30 million ADA in the beginning and distributed it to the developers and the Cardano Foundation, as well as IOHK and Charles Hoskinson. ADA, with a maximum of 45 billion, makes it a deflationary asset just like Bitcoin. Ethereum pre-mined 70 million ETH, and has no maximum supply, so it makes it an inflationary. I can't even hear him. My fault.
The reason for this is that handy link up in the top right. If you've been watching the charts, you'll know that ETH has been on a tear recently. From a macro perspective, the reason for this is because of the general flow of the crypto market. Usually, BTC is the first cryptocurrency to moon, and then that momentum gets passed on to ETH and trickles down to other altcoins. BTC is up nearly 3x from its previous all-time high, so it would not be surprising if ETH pulled a similar move in the next few months. This would bring ETH up to around $4,500, which is a realistic expectation for this bull run in my book. That would be a ground-shaking 15,000x return on investment for the lucky buggers who've been hodling since the ETH ICO back in 2014. There is a chance that ETH could go much higher because of the restrictive effects EIP 1559 fee burns would have on its supply. With the right catalysts in place, ETH could easily blow past 10k, and I'll discuss those in a moment. From a percentage standpoint, ADA has seen much larger gains than ETH during this bull market so far. It's up almost 40x since last spring and is up around 500x from its ICO price, which is not too shabby at all. ADA has been consolidating since it hit 150 in mid-April this year, and if the momentum of the market continues along with the drop in BTC dominance, ADA will be getting its second wind sometime soon. In terms of an all-time high, ADA is restricted by its massive supply. This gives it a much larger market cap than meets the eye, and that means it'll take more capital to push it up. If everything goes smoothly with the rollout of Cardano's smart contracts in the summer, I could see ADA spiking to $3 and possibly higher if Cardano's other partnerships work out. And speaking of which, it's about time I unpacked those.
Right, y'all. So, ADA price, ETH price. I didn't really catch what he said about ETH, but he did say that he sees it going to 10,000 this bull run, I believe he said. What is it now? 4,000 ETH to USD. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Oh my gosh. Let me just look at... What? Okay. It's at almost 4,000. Alright, so that would be a 2.5x. What is this? Hold up. Internet computer. What? What is this? Is this by global market cap? Who are y'all? Bro, what? The ICO'd yesterday? What the fuck? It's the world's first blockchain that runs at web speed with unbounded capacity. Bro, who are y'all? Interesting. I like their token. I like that. That's crazy. 50 billion in one. Oh no. Nice! 420. Alright.
There have been so many updates for Ethereum and Cardano over the last few months that I can't possibly cover all of them here. But there are a few that must be mentioned. In January this year, CoinDesk reported that Grayscale had filed for an ADA trust with the SEC. This trust has yet to materialize, but I reckon it's only a matter of time now that ADA is trading on one of the top cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States. I am, of course, talking about Coinbase, which finally listed ADA in March this year. The fact that ADA's third most traded pair is on Coinbase suggests to me that there is some serious demand for Cardano in the United States. Another update that caught my eye was a news article by Cointelegraph in early April, which talked about how developers are brute forcing Cardano's native assets to create NFTs. This is crazy because the mechanism to create NFTs isn't actually available on Cardano yet. More recently, IOHK announced that they had officially partnered with the Ethiopian government to create a national database of student and teacher IDs using Atala Prism. IOHK also delayed the Alonzo hard fork until August, which will finally introduce smart contracts to the Cardano blockchain. Meanwhile, Ethereum developers announced that they would be fast-tracking the docking phase of Ethereum 2.0 to the fall. Now, for those unfamiliar, the docking phase is when Ethereum 1 plugs into Ethereum 2.0 as a shard chain. This was originally scheduled to occur after the creation of the other 64 shards. Now, while the details are still up in the air, from what I was able to gather, this means that Ethereum 1 will transfer from proof of work to proof of stake as early as October this year. This means that Ethereum's current TPS bottleneck and high network fees would disappear. If that wasn't bullish enough, there are now 4 Ethereum ETFs trading on Canadian markets. Visa also announced that it will be testing payment settlements in USDC on the Ethereum blockchain. Just the other day, the European Investment Bank issued 2-year bonds on the Ethereum blockchain, which could foreshadow some serious public sector adoption. Even with the sluggish and expensive performance of Ethereum's current incarnation, MetaMask has seen a 5x increase in users since last October. All this just barely scratches the surface of what Cardano and Ethereum have been up to. If you want a more in-depth look at their recent developments, I'll leave links to my recent videos about them in the description.
Alright, y'all, that was a very informative, and look at this man, dude. Look at the bro. This man knows how to teleport and hasn't been, like, shoot. And the video's not even done yet. That's crazy. Alright, so. I wish I could zoom in here. I can. Oh my gosh. Incredible. Alright, so Cardano partnerships. Let's go over that first. CoinDesk announces a grayscale. I don't remember what he said, but grayscale ETF, I believe, but in the works potentially. Coinbase Pro, nice. NFTs brute forcing. That's pretty cool. I've heard of the NFTs on Cardano. And it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. IOHK, the biggest one, IOHK Ethiopian government deal using Atala Prism, over 5 million customers with one deal. And then Alonzo hard fork this August. That's when smart contracts will finally come, and we will see what the demand is. We'll see what the demand is, y'all. Now, as for the private sector with Ethereum, ETH 2.0 docking phase, the merge between ETH 1.0 and ETH 2.0, potentially as early as October. Nice. 4 Ethereum ETFs on the Canadian markets. A lot of stuff working with Ethereum. Visa. Nice. European Investment Bank bonds. Okay. Launching bonds on the Ethereum network. That's interesting. That's really interesting, actually. MetaMask 5x'd in just this year, he's saying. That's absolutely insane. I was actually one of the people that opened up. Dude, it's crazy, bro. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I'm sure I'm not the only one when I say this. I got into crypto because of Doge. I can't be mad at Doge, you know? So I got into crypto because of Doge. Then I opened up a MetaMask wallet because of all the NFT craze. And now I am extremely bullish on Cardano. Who would have thought? All this happened within like 3 months. So crypto is really just beginning. And while the video is titled Ethereum versus Cardano, I really believe that no matter what happens, adoption of crypto is best for the world entirely, not this whole tribalism mindset type of spiel. With that being said, let's just finish up the video. See what he has to say.
This seems to be the last stretch for Ethereum and Cardano in this bull market, and both projects are neck and neck. Now, I'll give it to you straight. I think Ethereum might be the winner in this race. I agree with Charles Hoskinson that the first mover advantage isn't everything, but at this point in time, there's no catching up to Ethereum. The outcome looks a lot different on a longer time frame, however. Cardano is built to be sustainable, and sustainability is admittedly a pretty foreign concept to Ethereum. As successful as Ethereum has been so far, there's no question that it has been riding a bumpy road. Rushing an upgrade to proof of stake is the last thing a $250 billion blockchain should be doing. It could bump millions of users off the ride. Still, there's no denying that Ethereum's approach has paid off so far, and it's becoming extremely popular with institutional investors as both an investment vehicle and a secure utility network. It would not surprise me if an Ethereum ETF gets approved before a Bitcoin ETF for these reasons. Cardano has opted to play the long game and effectively skipped the entire proof-of-work phase as part of this strategy. The fruits from all those years of research and development work are becoming ripe and are almost ready for picking. As much as Cardano's rollout has been delayed, it has created a degree of consumer confidence that you simply don't get with make-and-break cryptocurrency blockchains like Ethereum. The significance of IOHK's partnership with the Ethiopian government really cannot be understated. Even though it might not mean much for Cardano today, it means everything for Cardano's adoption tomorrow. It's one thing to woo a corporate giant like Visa, but convincing a government to use your technology as part of its infrastructure is on a whole other level. If this keeps up, I think that what Ethereum looks like today is what Cardano will look like in 5 years, except it'll be used by regular people and not DeFi degens and VC projects looking to turn a quick buck. Even though Ethereum has the edge for the foreseeable future and Cardano might eventually come out on top, there is no one cryptocurrency blockchain that will rule them all. That's why I'm hodling ETH and ADA. Now I want to hear your thoughts. What do you...
My thoughts? I 100% agree, bro. Crypto is going to be an internet of multiple protocols being used. It's not just going to be everybody using one protocol. There's going to be multiple for multiple customers and multiple different uses. So that's pretty much. I want to end off the live stream with this video right here. Cardano ADA could be just beginning. Bum, 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 bum. Not a financial advice. Nice. Nice save.
Last week, we saw one of the nastiest corrections.
Okay, let's skip it ahead a little bit. Cardano Recap. Y'all don't need a recap. We were just watching it. Very hard fork. Okay, well, this is pretty much talking about the same thing that the other video talked about. Project Catalyst. That's something I need to look to understand more. Let's look at that. Excuse me just a moment. All right.
In addition to Goguen, Cardano has been working away at Voltaire, which is the governance stage of the Cardano roadmap. Voltaire officially began in September 2020 with the launch of Project Catalyst. Project Catalyst involves a series of community-driven funding rounds to expand the Cardano ecosystem. The first round took place in September and saw $250,000 worth of ADA allocated to 11 projects building on Cardano. The winning projects were announced at the start of January this year and included a decentralized lending and borrowing platform called Liquid and a software developer kit for mobile Cardano dApps. The second round of Project Catalyst began just...
Hold up, that's dope, bro. Let me write that down. Liquid finance, I remember hearing about that. And then software developer kit on mobile. Those are just two of them.
Just before the winners of Cardano dApps. The second round of Project Catalyst began just before the winners of the first round were announced in January. $500,000 worth of ADA were earmarked for the second round, and the winners have yet to be announced at the time of shooting. The third Project
Beginning of this month.
Catalyst round made the crypto news in mid-February because of its $1 million price tag. According to IOHK, this round will be, quote, our most accessible and ambitious funding round yet, and will focus on building tools, decentralized applications, and educational resources. To bolster community participation, 20% of the ADA in the Project Catalyst treasury has been earmarked for those who are actively participating in the voting process. Registration for voting can easily be done through the Daedalus wallet, and voting will soon be possible directly from the wallet as well. Until then, you will need to use Cardano's dedicated IdeaScale platform. Now, while receiving ADA for participation sounds like a sweet deal, the rub is that you need 3,000 ADA to cast votes for your favorite projects and ideas, which is well over $4,000 as we speak. If you meet this requirement, however, you can use the links in this video description to help you get started with Project Catalyst. You should also know that Cardano's $1 million fund isn't the only thing that's been making the news. At the end of December 2020, Cardano announced they would be rolling out their K-EVM. Short for K Ethereum Virtual Machine, the K-EVM platform makes it possible for Ethereum developers to write Cardano smart contracts using Solidity, Ethereum's smart contract coding language. This will make it possible for Ethereum developers to essentially copy and paste their protocols and applications into Cardano once Goguen is finished. Not 1 week before that, Cardano revealed that they had partnered with Wolfram Blockchain Labs to build oracles for Cardano. For those who don't know, Wolfram Research is a software company that provides data solutions to tech giants like Google and Apple. This partnership has led many to believe that Cardano will not be relying on oracles like Chainlink or the Band protocol, which is an interesting move to say the least.
Hold up, I gotta learn about oracles. What are oracles? What are oracles on Cardano? I know there's an entire website called the Cardano Glossary. Oh, here it is. Smart contract technologies enhance the abilities of blockchain networks and added programmability features. A trusted link between the digital world and the physical could be another, such as enhancement. Oracles can do that for us. I think oracles are like... Hold up. The first generation of blockchain was able to transfer value from Alice to Bob. They can be perceived as transaction networks. The second generation came with smart contracts and enabled us to work with conditions. It's very useful in an environment where people don't trust each other, and it's needed to be sure that something is true before coins or tokens are transferred from one another. Whether something is true, okay, and that's where the oracle comes in, okay. DeFi can take the whole concept even further and link the purely digital world of blockchain with the physical world. We're talking about the physical blockchain movement. We're talking about the physical world, but the world of traditional finance is to a certain extent digitized as well. The goal of the blockchain movement is to transform traditional finance products into decentralized, trustless, and transparent protocols. So, for example, an oracle could be, oh, the Ravens won last... hey, all my Ravens fans out there, the Ravens won. The Steelers lost. Alright, who's the oracle there? You know? Who's to say that who won and who lost? That could be a stupid example, but it's out there.
In January this year, it was reported that the social media buzz around Cardano had hit all-time highs. In early February, it was revealed that Grayscale had formed LLCs for a slew of new cryptocurrency trusts, including a cryptocurrency trust for Cardano. Then, about a week later, Gene Simmons, the bass guitarist and co-lead singer of rock band Kiss, announced that he had dropped $300,000 into ADA, noting that its low price tag relative to Bitcoin made it, quote, affordable to almost anyone. This comment leads me to believe that Gene doesn't know much about tokenomics. But if you're watching Gene, make sure to click the link in the top right to learn all about them. Not 10 days later, a crypto fund in Dubai announced that they would be dumping their Bitcoin to invest in Cardano and Polkadot. While I don't agree with their assertion that Bitcoin is, quote, actually pretty useless, besides its utility as a store of value, Cardano and Polkadot do in fact have more room for growth in this bull run from a numbers standpoint. Around this time, Venus Protocol on the Binance Smart Chain added ADA as an asset that can be used as collateral to issue the VI stablecoin. Amidst all this news, Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson was churning out videos on his channel like a madman. And funnily enough, when Decrypt asked Charles why ADA has been pumping so hard, he said, quote, "If I knew why the prices behave the way they do, then I'd be a trader, not a builder." Well, I'm certainly not a builder, so I hope you don't mind me popping open the charts on ADA and giving you my 2 cents as to what's going on here. Time for a quick shout out to the sponsors of this video, AAA.
No! Alright. ADA price analysis, something that I'm not very, I can't really contribute much to, because I'm not a technical analysis guy.
ADA has seen a 7x increase in price since the start of the year, which is damn impressive for an altcoin with such a large market cap. Now, while I'm sure a lot of this price action is due to the combined effects of all the positive news that's come out about Cardano in the last few months, there seems to be one additional variable at play here. I couldn't help but notice that one of ADA's highest volume trading pairs is against the Turkish lira on the BTC Turk Pro exchange. Turkey just so happens to be one of the countries with the highest levels of cryptocurrency adoption. This is due to the insane inflation of the Turkish lira, which lost nearly 40% of its value in 2020 and continues to fall. The interesting thing about ADA is that it is a high-volume cryptocurrency with a low price tag and low transaction fees. This would make ADA an ideal candidate for a fiat alternative in a place like Turkey. Here's the real kicker. The BTC Turk exchange added support for ADA in November 2020, which is around the time ADA's price started to gain momentum. Cardano has also been working very closely with various governments in Africa. According to CryptoSlate, Cardano is on the verge of securing a contract with the government of Ethiopia. Although the details of this contract have yet to be disclosed.
Okay, this is a little bit earlier, but it already was announced. But let's let him continue.
Hodling their ADA since that time. I also wouldn't be surprised if some investors in the region scooped up a few ADA as well. ADA's price action in USD only tells us half the story, however. When it comes to analyzing an altcoin, its price action against Bitcoin and Ethereum often give a better indication of the significance of any dollar gains or losses. As you can see here, ADA has made some pretty significant gains against ETH, but is still only about halfway from its previous all-time high. ADA's strength against Ethereum also seems to have dropped a bit over the last few days. Similarly, ADA is nowhere near its all-time high against Bitcoin. This makes sense when you consider that Bitcoin...
Is that still true today? This is only... Oh, this is March 4th. I'm tripping. Did he say that the Cardano deal wasn't announced?
Started to gain momentum. Cardano has also been working very closely with various governments in Africa. According to CryptoSlate, Cardano is on the verge of securing a contract with the government of Ethiopia. Although the details of this contract have yet to be disclosed, Charles Hoskinson's comments in October 2020 lead me to believe it will be related to voting. I imagine that there are many people who have known about this upcoming partnership since the fall and have likely been hodling their ADA since that time.
Am I tripping? Is he not talking about the Ethiopian deal with students?
I also wouldn't be surprised if some investors in the region any dollar gains or losses. As you can see here, ADA has made some pretty significant gains against ETH, but is still only about halfway from its previous all-time high. ADA's strength against Ethereum also seems to have dropped a bit over the last few days. Similarly, ADA is nowhere near its all-time high against Bitcoin. This makes sense when you consider that Bitcoin has more than doubled in price compared to its previous all-time high, whereas Cardano only recently surpassed its previous all-time high. If you're wondering how high ADA can go, the short answer is that it depends on Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is because there are literally no other cryptocurrencies left for ADA to overtake. Now, I love Cardano, but I don't think it will be bigger than Bitcoin anytime soon. I also don't think Cardano is going to be bigger than Ethereum during this bull market. Before you object, allow me to explain.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, does it really matter if they're in this market, not bigger than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, I'm worried about, 5 years from now. I like that picture.
From where I'm standing, the only thing that's holding Ethereum back is its high gas fees. Low network fees are the only selling point for competitors like the Binance Smart Chain, which has seen incredible growth over the last few months. It looks like this competition has put the heat on Ethereum developers, who will be implementing a native scaling solution in March. Coinbase will be the first exchange to support this scaling solution, and they surely won't be the last. EIP 1559 could also come as early as June. This will introduce a fee-burning structure to the Ethereum network, which could quickly turn Ethereum into a deflationary asset. Something tells me that we won't be seeing smart contracts on Cardano before these changes to Ethereum are made.
Okay.
These Ethereum upgrades could also take the wind out of all the potential Ethereum killers, which include Cardano and Polkadot. That said, I still think ADA has a lot of room to grow for the same reason. Cardano...
Bro, I hope ADA goes down so I could buy more. Let me stop. No, but whatever happens in the short term, bro, that's why it's so important to believe in the long term of any project, really, so that you're hodling for a reason and not just based off of thinking that, hey, even if it goes down 98%, I'm still hodling. It's like, bro, you could have retired your family with that money.
Has only just begun to unlock its true potential, and the dozens of developments and partnerships that it has yet to unveil could easily pump another 3 to 5x into ADA's price before this bull market concludes. If you plan on selling ADA, well, you can watch my video about how to tell when to sell your altcoins. Hit that link in the top right.
Alright, y'all. Overall, very informative videos by Coin Bureau. We talked about Ethereum versus Cardano. We talked about what are some of the partnerships, some of the things that are happening in the future, as well as a deeper understanding of ETH 2.0, for me at least. So a lot of information in those two videos. I'm pretty excited about Project Catalyst. I want to partake in that. I don't have 2000 ADA yet, but that's gonna be something cool. With that being said, thank you for watching. Goodbye.